How's it going, guys? My name is Jimmy Champane, and today I'm going to be breaking down some new footage from It Chapter 2 that was shown off at CinemaCon. If you don't know what CinemaCon is, it's this annual trade show that happens in Vegas, and the biggest movie companies show off footage from their biggest upcoming movies, and then they wait a really long time to release it, like what happened with Halloween. Remember how damn long that wait was? That sucked. They showed the Teeth trailer where Michael Myers held his hand over the stall and dropped the teeth, and then they held that for months. That's what happens at CinemaCon. It's terrible. There were a few big events throughout the day, but the biggest one was definitely Warner Brothers panel, where they showed off new footage from Godzilla King of the Monsters, which people really liked. After that, they talked about The Curse of La Llorona, which they're still pretending isn't a Conjuring movie for some reason. They talked about Annabelle Comes Home, and of course, The Conjuring 3. They revealed the release date for that movie, which is September 11th of 2020. So all of that was pretty cool. They really went out with a bang though, because the last thing they did was bring up almost the entire cast from It Chapter 2, the adults and the kids, and then they showed off a full scene from the new movie. The scene that they showed is straight out of the book, where Bev as an adult returns to the town of Derry and she heads back to her dad's apartment, where that whole bathroom scene happened in the first movie, where the blood shot out of the sink, and it was kind of gross because it was a metaphor for her getting her period and being embarrassed about it. Yeah, that's the scene. Anyway, when she gets there, her dad doesn't answer the door. It's actually a lady named Mrs. Kerr. She explains that she lives in the apartment now and that Bev's dad died a little while ago. So Bev turns around to leave, but Mrs. Kirsch invites her in for tea. It's actually kind of sweet at first because Mrs. Kirsch asks Bev if the apartment is how she remembers it, and Bev says it's a whole lot cleaner. Bev then goes into that bathroom, which is where that really creepy scene happened in the first movie, but she finds the love note from Ben and reads it and smiles, and then there's a big flashback to when she was a kid. So it's pretty cute, but then things start to turn dark. I read a few articles about this and they all kind of said different things, but apparently while Bev is reading the note from Ben, you see someone scuttle by in the background. So Bev turns around and doesn't see this, obviously, and heads back into the living room, and then Mrs. Kerr starts talking to her and starts to get really sweaty, so that creeps Bev out. Then she stands up and notices some pictures on the wall of Mrs. Kirsch's family, and she notices that one of the people in it looks surprisingly like Pennywise. This is where things start to get really creepy. Bev apparently then turns around and sees Mrs. Kirsch stripping off all of her clothes, getting completely naked, and then Mrs. Kirsch runs at her screaming, "I was a daddy's girl. Are you a daddy's girl too?" That's gross. That's where the scene ended, but right after that there was a supercut trailer that showed both the adult and kid versions of the Losers Club hanging out in Derry, and one shot in it that people really seem to have stick with them is one of the adults staring into a shop window, and the reflection in it is all of them standing next to each other as kids, which sounds kind of cool. It was described as creepy, but I don't really understand how that's creepy. I guess we'll just have to wait and see it for ourselves. And of course, they have to wrap the entire thing up with a shot of Pennywise looking directly at the camera saying hello and laughing maniacally. Now obviously, since I didn't see this footage, I can't comment on whether or not it was good or bad, but I did look up some reactions from people who were there, and everyone seemed to like it a lot, and they said it was both bloody and scary. There was one line that pretty much every article and every tweet I saw mentioned. It was Mrs. Kirsch saying, "You know what they say about Derry, anyone who dies here never really dies," and that's just a really good creepy callback to Pennywise. I like that a lot. Oh, and I also read that the shot of Mrs. Kirsch running at Bev is actually shot from the ground up between Mrs. Kirsch's naked legs, and the thought of a naked old lady running at Jessica Chastain is actually, it's pretty fucking creepy, not gonna lie. That's kind of creepy in my mind. I hope it's as creepy on screen as it is in my mind. That'd be awesome. To wrap things up here, I'm glad that the reactions to the footage and all of the actors coming up on stage seem to be almost entirely positive. It seems like this new movie is also pulling a lot more from the book than the first one did by including the ritual of Chud and the big cosmic turtle. That's kind of the stuff that I feel like a lot of people thought was missing from the first movie, so I'm glad that they're taking the feedback from the fans and including it in the second one. The one thing I'm personally hoping for is more backstory on Pennywise and more of an expansion on his lore, but I'd love to hear what you think of all of these reactions and what you want to see from this movie down in the comments below. Remember to subscribe already, because once the trailer does drop, I will do a full breakdown here on my channel. Anyway guys, my name is Jimmy Champane, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.